So today I'm going to show you how to take apart a Game Boy Pocket for cleaning. This is going to be for cleaning the case. I'm not going to show you how to repair anything in here. I can do that in a different video down the line. Now you're going to need a screwdriver. In fact, you're going to need a special type of bit if you've ever worked with Nintendo stuff, known as a tri-wing. It looks a little something like this. Kind of like a Phillips head, but with only 3 rings, thus tri-wing. I also recommend that you get a sorting tray of sorts. Now, I'm using an iFixit ProTech toolkit, so the lid for the driver set has a built-in sorting tray, but you can use whatever you want, ice cube tray, those little medicine box things, really anything. Now to start with, we're going to remove the batteries. The system takes 2 AAA batteries. Put those to the side. That revealed 2 more screws. So we're first going to just take all the screws out. Now, on this particular device, all 6 of these screws here are the same length, same threading. So you don't have to worry about, am I putting this screw back in the exact right spot? Don't have to worry about that with this. So go ahead and take a screw out, put it in your sorting tray. Okay, once you have all 6 of the screws out, you can just lift the back housing off, just like that. Now, for the moment, we're going to focus on this back housing. Now, of course, we don't really want to wash metal too much because it can rust. So there's just 4 Phillips head screws here that we can take off. And now this metal shield here will just lift right out. You can set that to the side. And now you can go wash the back housing without ruining anything. So we'll set that to the side, pretend it's being washed, and we will focus on the front housing that has the logic board. Now after you get through the outside housing, all the screws on the inside of the Game Boy are now Phillips screws. So all you need is a Phillips head screwdriver, and you can go ahead and remove all of these screws. I need a bigger one. Now that we have all 3 screws out, before we proceed, we're going to detach this ribbon cable up here that is for the display. Now we're going to do this by moving these 2 tabs here that way. You can use your finger. I prefer to use a little spudger, just makes things a little bit easier. So there's one, there's the other. Okay, now we can just lift the logic board up, hold the ribbon cable, and just wiggle it out, just like that. Now we can remove the logic board completely. Now that the logic board is out, moving the buttons is easy. The start and select button just lift right up, mostly because they're made of rubber. We will now have to move these 2 contact pads here and here. And now we can just lift the buttons right out. To get the screen out, you just want to flex the Game Boy. You will hear some creaking, some popping, and then the screen should be able to be lifted right out. You might need to use a slight prying tool, such as a flat tip on a spudger. Now, putting everything back together is quite easy. Just put the display back in, make sure everything's lined up on the other side back here. Make sure the ribbon connector is facing upwards, like this. Now for the buttons, we just want to grab one of them. They are indeed keyed, so this notch here lines up with a little notch right there. So we can just drop that in like so. Now the face buttons, so A and B, unlike on later Game Boys, such as the Color and the Advance, do not have the actual letter printed on the button themselves. In fact, it's printed on the plastic housing, so it does not matter where you put the face buttons, which slot you put them in, or how they're oriented. In fact, they can only go in one way. After that's done, we're going to put the rubber contact pads on. These just go on like that. They are keyed, so little hole on top for this one, big hole on the bottom, just press them in. D-pad 1 isn't keyed, so we can just drop that in. And the start and select buttons are not keyed, so you can just drop these in anyway. There are 2 holes here that these pins have to go through. It can be this way, you can flip it 180, won't matter. Now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and drop the logic board in. And we need to reconnect the ribbon cable, so make sure that these 2 white tabs are pulled out. Let's go ahead and helps if you move the logic board up like this. Go ahead and push the ribbon cable back in. It can be a little tricky. We'll go in just like that. We can set the logic board back down and then just clamp it in by moving these white tabs back, just like so. Now we just have to replace the 3 screws on the logic board. Make sure you tighten them down as far as you can. Okay, we can set the front housing to the side now. Now we want to put the shield back into the rear housing. So we're going to grab the shield, we're going to orient it so it's going upwards like this. Go and lie that in right here. Make sure you get your smaller Phillips head out for this and just screw it back in on these 4 screw holes. Do not put a screw in these 2. Okay, now that the shield's back in, we're going to want to swap our Phillips head out for a tri-ring. Go ahead and put the back cover on like so. And just start putting the 6 screws back in. Okay, go ahead and put the batteries back in. Put the battery cover back on. Go ahead and grab a game and make sure everything still works. You might need to adjust the contrast. And as you can see, everything is working just fine. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a nice day. I forgot to replace these 2 buttons. God fucking damn it. God.